In 9 days, the most powerful OpenAI model ever built becomes a free download. The number to hold on to is 2.8 trillion parameters, the largest open-weight model any lab, anywhere, has ever released. And it came from a startup barely 3 years old. This is the deep dive on Kimi K3, the lab behind it, the machine inside it, the scores it just posted, and the shockwave it sent through the markets. Start with the lab itself, because you can't make sense of this model without the very unusual company behind it. Moonshot AI was founded in March 2023 by 3 Tsinghua schoolmates, and the name is a record collector's joke. It launched on the 50th anniversary of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Founder Yang Jilin isn't a newcomer, either. Before Moonshot he worked at Google Brain and Meta, and co-authored Transformer XL and XLNet, architectures this whole generation of models is built on. Investors noticed. Moonshot's valuation went 300 million to 2.5 billion after Alibaba led a round to over 4 billion, and then, this May, it hit 20 billion. And the money is strategic. Alibaba took a major stake early, Xiaohongshu joined the billion-dollar round, and the latest 20 billion valuation was led by Meituan's venture arm. China's giants are bankrolling OpenAI. So how did a chatbot company end up here? The road to K3 runs through 3 earlier models, and the pace of it tells you everything. K3 landed this month, but the road matters. The Kimi chatbot in late 2023, K2 last July, K2.5 in January, 3 frontier releases inside a single year. K2 set the baseline, 1 trillion parameters, 32 billion active, trained on 15.5 trillion tokens, and released under a modified MIT license. The open playbook was already working. K2.5 gave the family eyes, a 400 million parameter vision encoder called MoonVT, letting Kimi read images and video natively, a piece K3 inherits whole. Put the Lineage on one ladder and K3 isn't just bigger. Moonshot says it converts compute into capability with 2.5 times the efficiency of K2. The curve is compounding. Now open the machine itself, because the architecture is where this release gets genuinely clever, and where the efficiency comes from. Inside sit 896 experts, and for any single token only 16 of them light up, under 2% of the network doing each moment's work. Here's what sparsity buys: start at 2.8 trillion total, park the inactive experts, and each token effectively runs through roughly 50 billion parameters, frontier scale at a fraction of the compute. The routing is one clean pass. A token arrives, a router scores every expert, the top 16 fire, and their outputs blend into a single answer, thousands of times per sentence. Then there's Kimi Delta Attention, their in-house hybrid design. At million token context lengths, Moonshot claims decoding up to 6.3 times faster than standard attention. All of that serves a 1 million token context window, enough to hold an entire codebase, or a shelf of novels, in a single conversation without forgetting the start. 2 quieter inventions carry the training, attention residuals, which Moonshot credits with roughly 25% better training efficiency, for under 2% extra cost. The rest of the training stack is a parade of house specials, a per-head muon optimizer, a new activation function they call situ, and quantile-based load balancing across those experts. And it was trained quantization aware from the fine-tuning stage on, weights in 4-bit MXFP4, activations in 8-bit, so the giant deploys on far humbler hardware without a painful conversion. Specs are promises, though. So let's check the receipts, the leaderboards, the blind tests, and one wrinkle Moonshot would rather you skipped. None of this is hidden, by the way. This is Kimi's actual site, days after launch, the model card, the docs, and the product, already public. And independent scorekeepers moved fast. This is artificial analysis, the live leaderboard. K3 debuts at 57, third place overall, first among open models. The podium reads, Claude Fable 5 at 60, GPT 5.6 Soul at 59, Kimi K3 at 57, an open-weight model breathing on the closed frontier's neck. And there's one upset. In blind front-end code testing, developers preferred K3 over every US model, 1679 points, a 76% pairwise win rate, rank 1. It also tops Automation Bench, completing 53% of real automation tasks, the best score recorded, on work that looks like actual jobs. Now the honest wrinkle, because there is one, K3 answers more questions correctly than K2.6, but when it's wrong, it's confidently wrong more often. Hallucination went up, not down. There's also a speed tax. Through the API, K3 streams at under 30 tokens per second. You're trading responsiveness for frontier reasoning, and the beam leans hard toward depth. Which brings us to the fallout, the pricing, the hardware bill, the markets, and the date circled in red on 2 continents. Access is not cheap, and that is deliberate. 30 cents per million cached, $3 fresh input, 15 for output, the most expensive Chinese release yet, Sonnet-tier pricing, on purpose. Running it yourself is its own project. Recommended serving means supernode configurations, 64 accelerators or more in one coherent block. Open weights, yes. Living room hardware, no. Against the domestic rival, sheer size is the flex. K3's 2.8 trillion parameters sit about 75% above DeepSeek V4 Pro's estimated 1.6 trillion. Zoom out and the geopolitics write themselves. This model exists despite years of US chip export controls, the exact outcome those restrictions were designed to prevent. The markets noticed immediately. TSMC dropped 7% Friday, despite a 77% jump in quarterly profit. Traders are calling it another DeepSeek moment. And the calendar is the final move, full weights promised by July 27th, time to land right before the World AI Conference in Shanghai. 9 days, as of this video. In Washington and Silicon Valley, the reaction reads as alarm. US labs are described as clearly worried, lobbying against exactly this kind of open-weight release. The lead is thinner than advertised. So the loop closes where we started. A 3-year-old lab, a 2.8 trillion parameter machine, scores beside the American frontier, and weights that go public in days. If the frontier is about to be a free download, you'll want to see what happens next. Follow the NBX Studio, we'll be watching July 27th together.